If your life looks fine on the outside, but your chest feels tight when the room goes quiet, this video is for you. If you've learned to answer pain with a smile, to cover grief with gratitude, to paste good vibes only over a nervous system that's tired, stay with me. Because sometimes positivity isn't hope. Sometimes it's hiding. And not because you're fake, or weak, or not spiritual enough, but because somewhere along the way, your mind discovered a shortcut. If I float above the pain, maybe I won't have to feel it. Tonight, we're going to talk about that shortcut. In psychology, it has a name: spiritual bypassing. It sounds gentle, even beautiful, but if we're not careful, it can quietly delay our healing and shrink our lives. This is not an anti-spiritual video. It's a pro-wholeness video, a reminder that real peace isn't the absence of darkness. It's the ability to sit with it without abandoning yourself. Welcome back to Thinkwise. Take a breath as if we're sitting together, not performing for each other. No judgment here, just light, honesty, and the warmth of understanding. Spiritual bypassing is when we use spiritual ideas or positive language to step around emotions that need our attention, not to grow through them, but to avoid them. Think of it like putting incense in a room that has smoke. The fragrance is lovely, but the fire is still burning. Sometimes we say things like, "Everything happens for a reason. Just trust the universe. Stay high vibe. Let it go." And those phrases can be true at the right time. But when they're used to silence grief, anger, fear, or loneliness, they stop being wisdom and become anesthesia. The term was introduced by psychologist and Buddhist teacher John Welwood. He noticed that many sincere seekers were using spirituality as a way to leap over the messy parts of human life. Instead of walking through pain, they tried to rise above it. Spiritual bypassing can look like forgiving too quickly to avoid anger, meditating instead of confronting a boundary violation, overgratitude that dismisses real loss, treating sadness like a failure of faith, or calling trauma a lesson before the body has even had time to tremble. It's not the practices that are the problem: prayer, meditation, mindfulness, surrender. These can be profoundly healing. The bypass happens when they become a way to not feel what's true. Let's be tender here. People bypass because they're trying to survive. Pain is hard. Uncertainty is hard. And most of us were never taught how to sit with uncomfortable emotions. We were taught to be strong, be grateful, be good. We were praised for composure, not for honesty. So, when a wave of grief or rage rises, your system reaches for what it knows. Sometimes it's a childhood adaptation. Maybe your sadness was met with, "Stop crying." Maybe your anger was punished or mocked. So your nervous system learned, feeling is dangerous. Hide it. Sometimes it's cultural or spiritual conditioning. In many communities, negative emotions are treated like low vibration, like impurities to cleanse away. So, when you hurt, you feel guilty for hurting. And sometimes bypassing is simply a yearning for control, because if suffering has a meaning right now, if it's meant to be, then we don't have to face the raw randomness of life. All of this is human. If you recognize bypassing in yourself, don't turn it into another reason to shame yourself. This was a strategy born from longing. Longing to be safe. Longing to be okay. Longing to believe your pain will not swallow you. There's another layer too. The world rewards the healed version of us. People clap for the comeback story. They love the quote, the transformation, the glow. But they get uncomfortable around the middle chapter, the chapter where you don't know who you are yet, where your voice shakes, where your faith is a question, not an answer. So, we learn to skip the middle. We curate a version of ourselves that feels easier to love, and slowly, we start performing wellness instead of living it. If you've ever felt pressure to be the strong one, the spiritual one, or the one who's always okay, notice how heavy that costume can be. Even robes of light can become armor. Let me give you a picture. A woman loses someone she loved. At the funeral, she is calm, graceful, almost glowing. Everyone calls her so strong. She repeats, "I'm at peace. It's part of God's plan." Weeks pass, she keeps working, keeps smiling, keeps helping others. But at night, she can't sleep. Her chest feels heavy. She hears a song, and suddenly her body shakes. Not because she's weak, but because grief has a schedule of its own. Her spirituality wasn't the issue. The timing was. She tried to live at the mountaintop, while her heart was still in the valley. Here's the quiet cost. What you don't feel doesn't disappear. It waits. Unfelt emotions are like letters that keep arriving. You can leave them unopened for a while, but the mailbox will eventually overflow. Bypassing can lead to a few things. Number 1, emotional stagnation. If you don't allow anger, you don't learn boundaries. If you don't allow grief, you don't metabolize loss. Healing requires contact. We can't heal pain from a distance. Number 2, inner tension. You're saying, "I'm fine," while your body whispers, "Please listen." That split drains energy and can show up as anxiety, numbness, or depression. Number 3, shame and loneliness. When you force positivity, you start believing your darker feelings are unacceptable, so you hide them. And in hiding them, you feel alone. Number 4, relationship strain. If you bypass yourself, you may start bypassing others, offering silver linings when they need witnessing. People don't want to be fixed in their grief. They want to be held. Number 5, blocked spiritual growth. This is the irony. Bypassing is often done in the name of enlightenment, but true wisdom includes the shadow. A spirituality that rejects half of your experience won't make you whole. You might know this one. Someone gets hurt in a relationship. They say, "I've forgiven them," but their body stiffens at a text. They feel a sudden coldness around intimacy. Here, forgiveness became a ladder out of anger, but anger was trying to protect them. Anger was saying, "Something matters here, something crossed a line." When we bypass anger, we often keep repeating the same lesson with different faces. Another quiet example. A man grows up in a home where emotions were treated like noise. So, when he feels anxious, he immediately tells himself, "Just breathe, be grateful, you're blessed." He scrolls past his own discomfort with a mantra. Years later, in therapy, he realizes he doesn't actually know what he feels. He knows what he should feel. He knows what sounds wise. But inside, everything is fog. That fog isn't a character flaw. It's what happens when we keep skipping the truth. Emotions are like muscles. If we never use them, they don't vanish. They just weaken, and then life feels strangely distant, even when it's right in front of us. So, how do you know you're bypassing? Look for these gentle clues. You rush to meaning before you allow mourning. You feel guilty for feeling negative. You use spiritual language to avoid hard conversations. Your positivity feels tight, performative, or brittle. You're compassionate to everyone except yourself. You keep saying, "I'm okay," but your body says otherwise. If any of that lands in your chest, just notice. Nothing to fix in this moment. Awareness is already a door opening. The way out is integration. Letting spirituality and psychology hold hands. Number 1, permission to feel. Feelings are not enemies. They are information. Sadness says, something precious was lost. Anger says, a boundary was crossed. Fear says, something needs care. You don't have to obey every feeling, but you do need to listen. When an emotion rises, name it softly. Sadness. Anger. Then ask, what are you protecting? What do you need me to know? Number 2, mindfulness is presence, not escape. Meditation isn't meant to float above life. It's meant to bring you into it. So instead of using meditation to erase pain, use it to sit beside pain, like sitting next to a friend in the dark. Breathe. Notice the sensation. Let your body tell the story your mind has been skipping. Number 3, shadow work with kindness. Your shadow isn't bad. It's the part of you that didn't get enough love. When jealousy rises, don't scold it. Ask, what longing lives here? When grief comes, don't rush it. Place a hand on your chest and say, I'm here, I'm not leaving. Number 4, meaning after feeling. Meaning is powerful, but let it be earned. First, this hurts. Then later, what is this teaching me? If you reverse the order, meaning becomes denial. Number 5, balanced hope. Authentic positivity includes reality. It sounds like, this is hard, and I will take care of myself through it. I don't like what happened, and I trust my capacity to heal. This kind of hope is not a mask. It's a companion. Think of healing like tending a garden. Spiritual bypassing is watering only the flowers you like, and pretending the weeds aren't there. But weeds don't vanish because we refuse to name them. They grow quietly. So we kneel down. We pull them gently. We learn what they're telling us about the soil. That's integration. Not glamorous, not instant, but real. Let's do a small practice together. Just a minute. Wherever you are, soften your shoulders. Let your jaw unclench. Take one slow breath in and a slower breath out. Now, ask yourself gently, what am I feeling underneath my positivity? No need to find the perfect word. Maybe it's a color, a weight, a temperature. Maybe it's just tired. See if you can make a little room for it, not to solve it, just to let it sit beside you. And if your mind rushes to explain it away, notice that rush kindly. You're learning a new way to be with yourself. That takes time. One more breath. In and out. Okay, if you've been hiding your pain with positivity, it doesn't mean you're doing spirituality wrong. It means you're human and you're learning. The goal isn't to become a person who never suffers. The goal is to become a person who doesn't abandon themselves when they suffer. So, tonight, maybe let one honest feeling breathe, not to drown in it, just to acknowledge it. Your emotions are not proof that you're failing. They are proof that you're alive. If this video gave language to something you've felt, you're welcome to share a line in the comments. What's one emotion you've been trying to rise above instead of hold? And if you know someone who lives behind a brave smile and bright quotes, send this to them gently. Until next time, be kind to the parts of you that hurt. They are not obstacles on your path. They are part of the path.